multitask, so I'm going to keep it stationary here. I wanted to point out that we have also submitted a formal request to Senator Banks' office today. It was pointed out that he is also one of our senators, so we will let you know when our in-person or, again, empty chair town hall will be through email and posting on social. So we have 3 speakers tonight, each of whom will spend a few minutes sharing the impact of the executive orders and what's going on in Congress and how that impacts Hoosiers. Then we're going to open the floor to you. And in order to ensure that we can hear from as many people as possible, as you can see, we have a full house. We ask that you keep your comments, questions, and concerns to 2 minutes each. We do have somebody monitoring the time up here, so you'll get the 1 minute mark and the 30-minute mark, or 30-second mark. If you'd like to speak, and we'll tell you in just a couple of minutes, we're going to ask that you line up on either side of the pews over here, and we're going to do kind of a round robin and go back and forth. If you're unable to come up here, or you don't want to come up here but you'd like to speak, please hold up your hand, and one of our individuals, Sherry, here in the middle, will bring a mic to you. So let's get started. I'm Martha. I'm with Indivisible Central Indiana. We're a national progressive organization fighting the Trump, Musk, and Project 2025 agenda. And let's not forget that we need to hold our members of Congress accountable. Since the election on November 5th, we've had over 1,000 new chapters spin up. So if you'd like to learn more about joining us, speak to one of us after the event. We have little QR codes in the back where you can register to get more involved. Or visit our new website, indivisiblecentralindiana.org. So I'm going to turn it over to, and do we have Hoosiers for Democracy here? Yep. Okay. All right, great. Wonderful. Thank you for being here. Our first speaker is Sheila Kennedy, Professor Emerita, Law and Public Policy. I'm not sure about that. Sheila's going to speak to DOGE and the unconstitutionality of DOGE.
I'm a lot shorter than you are. Okay. Pardon the reading, but under the Constitution, Congress has the exclusive power to raise revenue and, quote, pay the debts and provide for the common defense and general welfare of the United States, end quote. The Appropriations Clause states that, quote, no money shall be drawn from the Treasury but in consequence of appropriations made by law, unquote. DOGE has never been authorized as a government unit of any kind and is exercising financial decision-making that the Constitution vests exclusively in Congress. Our Congress people obviously don't want. Anyway, accordingly, every decision that DOGE has made and is making is illegal and unconstitutional until and unless ratified, or more properly, authorized in advance by Congress. Most of Trump's increasingly incoherent, petty, and autocratic executive orders are similarly unconstitutional. Most of them just blatantly violate the Constitution and the separation of powers, a structural element fundamental to our constitutional system. The most blatant example, of course, was his effort to use an executive order to overturn birthright citizenship, which was established in the 14th Amendment. A president, I know he doesn't know this, but a president cannot amend the Constitution via an executive. executive order as a written directive signed by the President that orders agencies of the federal government to take specific actions in pursuance of the executive's duty to ensure that the laws of the nation be faithfully executed. To the extent that such orders apply to matters not properly within the executive's authority, they are legally unenforceable, and the courts have been saying that. Trump's disdain for the constitutional limits on his authority have plunged this nation into a full-fledged constitutional crisis.
Thank you, Sheila. Our next speaker is Adam Mueller, Executive Director of the Indiana Justice Project and formerly Director of Advocacy at Indiana Legal Services. He is Indiana's foremost subject matter expert on Medicaid. Adam.
Hi, I don't know how that last line about foremost expert got slipped in there, but I do like, when necessary, suing over Medicaid to make sure it works the way it's supposed to. Woo! I want to tell you a little bit about Medicaid in Indiana and why it matters, but the first thing I want to do is I want to see a show of hands. Who in this room knows somebody that is on a Medicaid program? Almost everybody raised their hand. In Indiana, there are 1.8 million people on Medicaid. 1 in every 6 adults between the ages of 19 to 64. 3 in 8 children. 40% of the births in Indiana are covered by Medicaid. 2 in 3 nursing home residents. 1 in 6 Medicare beneficiaries. And 1 in 3 working age adults with disabilities. Medicaid is vital. It is so important for Indiana, and it's so important for our country. Here's the thing that you should know. Right now, Indiana and all the states are facing down some perilous threats when it comes to Medicaid. You may have heard through the reconciliation process, Congress wants to cut billions of dollars, trillions of dollars from the budget. And of that, $880 billion has to come from the Energy and Commerce Committee. Where do you think Medicaid lies in that committee? And the only way you can get to $880 billion is by cutting Medicaid. And there are several things that they're looking at doing right now, and I just want to sort of talk about them. They're pretty wonky, but I'm going to go through them fairly quickly. One of them is potentially a per capita cap, meaning we're just going to cap the amount of money per person that a state could get for the Medicaid program. One of them is to cut services, home and community-based services, Medicaid services that allow people to stay in their homes and not have to be institutionalized. One of them is potentially block grants. We know that is done in the TANF program and other programs. A state would get a very small, finite amount of money, and then that would be all they could spend on Medicaid. One of them that we're hearing a lot about right now is work requirements. We refer to those as work reporting requirements. Most people on Medicaid that can work, do work.
Yes. Yes.
So when you hear somebody talking about work requirements, what they're actually saying is, we're gonna make you every month report to us, how many hours did you spend doing this? How many hours did you spend doing that? Was that really a job? Did you really volunteer there? In the words of some folks I've talked to, it's humiliating, and it's not the way that we should set up our social safety net. So I leave you with the thought to be mindful of what's happening both at the federal level in terms of what Congress is doing with the budget, but also what's happening at the state level. Medicaid is a state and federal partnership. For Medicaid expansion, for every $1 that we put in, the feds give us $9 in return. That is a 900% return on investment. That's a great deal. Right now, that's at jeopardy. And it's also because of some stuff that's happening at the state level. For those folks who are following, there's a bill, Senate Bill 2, that is going to impose potential work requirements. It did a lot of other things, but that stuff is now gone. work requirements are still something that's on the table. If you're interested, we have a Law and Policy Conference coming up in about 2 weeks on April 4th. I can get the information out to folks in some way, but you can come see me sitting up here after. Thank you very much.
What do you think, Todd?
Thank you, Adam. And our final official speaker, and then we're going to turn it over to the people, is Angie Carr-Klitsch. She is the Executive Director of Women for Change. She is a subject matter expert in women's reproductive rights and a whole host of other things I learned last week. Angie, come on up.
Applause for all the Indivisible volunteers who are creating space for this conversation. I'm incredibly gratified to be here tonight and honestly to celebrate my 1-year anniversary as the CEO of Women for Change Indiana. Who knew what a year it would be, but I can't imagine a better place to be or a moment in time than to be fighting for the voices of women and girls and you in this room here in Indiana and across our country. There's a level of irony that Women for Change was founded after the 2016 election, before the first Trump administration came into office. It feels like deja vu, and yet actually we find ourselves swimming against even stronger tides. And it's important for us to understand that women in disenfranchised communities are the first line of defense for what needs to happen here in the room. It affects us, it affects our communities and our families. We care about voting in elections. I put some materials out there. Be aware of the SAVE Act. 69 million women, including myself, changed our last names. And now our birth certificate no longer matches our identification. The more you're hearing about this is an effort for voter suppression, and many of us will not have passports every single time you go to register. Even if you move down the street, you'll have to bring all that documentation with you. This is a huge challenge for our next upcoming election, so stay aware of that, and Todd Young, vote against it. Okay. So we're doing a lot of civic education. We're doing, workshops on demand. One was for Indivisible here in Central Indiana about the legislative session, what bills are moving forward. We'll do one at the end of session. We care about women's health and wellness. That includes reproductive rights. That is a continued onslaught where there's criminalization and re-traumatization of victims of incest and rape. And so, those bills will be back. The bandwidth's on Medicaid this year. Those bills will be back. We believe in economic mobility, child care, elder care. Women step out of the workforce more to take care of aging parents. And Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If we're not safe and secure, how can we be productive? How can I contribute to the economy? And that's where we land with some of these executive orders, because women and girls in all of their diversity are not safe. The funding freezes that are existing are basically intended to reduce gender-based services and gender-based funding for violence. USAID, I have many friends who work there. I was a Peace Corps volunteer. I had a grant from USAID. That money has been stopped. Now we can restart that, but there are women and children dying all across the world who are not getting access and care. Let's bring it closer to home. All women and girl serving organizations that have funding dependent on the federal or state government are cleaning their websites. We are seeing resources being taken off of the HHS and the NIH websites. For organizations here locally, it's not just about future funding, it's current program delivery. The federal government owes money to these organizations that have already provided services. So here's keeping it local. Planned Parenthood will lose $3.5 million in federal funding, the decrease of clinics from 11 to 3 around the state. Healthcare education and training, they're almost 100% federally funded. It's providing sex education and information to foster care individuals. It's happening across the state. They've lost $2 million. These organizations cannot speak about Black maternal mortality. We're not allowed to use those words anymore. Just because you can't say it doesn't mean it's not happening. Exodus refugees. Again, for individuals who are already here in our communities, losing $5 million in funding. And one of the biggest hits is obviously the trans and LGBTQ community. Gender Nexus lost almost $500,000 in state contracts. Indiana Youth Group is losing $400,000 in emergency housing funds. And our domestic violence network partners, they polled their communities across the state. 53 organizations responded, okay? $10.1 million is owed to these groups already in reimbursement. These groups employ 1,539 individual Hoosiers. They've served over 51,000 victims of sexual assault and violence, and they only have cash reserves for the next 75 days. We're not going to be able to philanthropy our way out of this situation, but I do want to leave you with the encouragement to really create mutual aid societies and informal communities to support those who will be most affected by these funding challenges. Thank you.
Okay, he's leaning down. First, I want to thank our three speakers. They could have each spoken for hours about these topics, and they agreed to do it in under 5 minutes. So let's hear a round of applause for them. We would also like to thank our media partners that are here tonight. It's critical for us to get this message out to not only our community, our state, but as well as the country. So when I say let's make this go viral, let's get it done. Okay, so this is now your turn. We are going to ask you to form two lines, one on either side of the pews. We will have line marshals, and we're going to kind of round robin back and forth. So anyone who wants to speak, we ask you to go to either side and get in line. We are asking you to keep it to 2 minutes. As you can see, we have a full house here, and we have a monitor right in front of you who will hold up the 1 minute and then the 30-second sign. So I think since we've got somebody over here, let's come on up.
Okay, thank you. Hey,
Stand right here next to me. Thank you.
I know. We on? We on the clock? I'm ready. All right, Senator Young, my name is James Todd. I am one of your constituents. I want to say first, thank you for your service to our country as a member of the United States Marine Corps and as a U.S. Senator. Both of these are positions of honor and are deserving of our respect. To become an officer in the United States Marine Corps and a member of the United States Senate, you had to take an oath. Let me respectfully remind you of those words. I do solemnly solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I will take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will help and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of this office on which I am about to enter. So help me God. Senator Young, the U.S. Constitution is under attack. This president is abandoning our allies and embracing our enemies. His actions are unconstitutional and likely illegal. Judicial orders are being ignored and mocked. Senator Young, my question to you today is this: what are you going to do about it? When are you going to stand up for this? What are you going to do, and when are you going to do it? We, the people, will take care of your career. You take care of us. Thank you, and God bless America.
Senator Young, I didn't prepare anything, but I'm very emotional. My name is Sarah, and I'm a constituent from here in Indianapolis. And my husband and I were blessed with raising an amazing trans daughter. She grew up in Indianapolis, went to Nora Elementary School, North Central High School, and now is studying at the University of Cincinnati. She stood on this stage, maybe exactly where I am, singing with the Indianapolis Children's Choir as she was growing up. And her entire life, she has been accepted in this state and in this country and in the city of Indianapolis. Her village has been amazing. They've lifted her up. They've lifted us up. And we've never felt so good about where we've come and what her future looks like until November 5th. And now we're afraid. I'm sorry. We're afraid when we hear terms like eradicate. And she's turning 21 and she's getting ready to fly. We need you to help her fly. Thank you.
My name is Roy Steinhardt. Senator Young, the Allister staffers may be familiar with it, as I've been calling your office quite often. I've come here tonight. I'm choosing to hope that you will protect our union like Lincoln did and have compassion like Jesus did. One, why did you vote no on the amendment to the continuing resolution that would have restored the jobs of veterans who were illegally fired by DOJ? Change your mind on your confirmation votes after a private meeting with Mr. Musk? Number three, why did you have time to go to a Pacers game with the governor, but no time to be here with us tonight? Why are you refusing to protect the power of the legislative branch, and why are you silent on Trump's current intimidation of the judiciary? Simple. It's a yes or no question. Do you believe in our constitutional right to due process for everyone within the U.S.? I would say thank you for your time, but you're not here.
Senator Young, my name is Rick Powers. I'm a proud Hoosier residing in the Butler-Tarleton neighborhood of Indianapolis. My question is, 290,000 jobs in Indiana's manufacturing and agricultural industries will be negatively affected by new tariffs. On March 14th, the New York Times published an article entitled "Trade War Retaliation Will Hit Trump Voters Hardest," reporting that Indiana is projected to be among the largest losers in percentage of jobs impacted. 290,000 is 8.4% of the total number of jobs in our state. May I repeat, tariffs, the tariffs that Donald Trump started, are going to negatively impact 8.4% of the total jobs in our state. Similar numbers are reported by the Indiana Fiscal Policy Institute. Please remember Senator Young. Each one of these jobs represents a hard-working Hoosier supporting his or her family. My question, Senator Young, what is your response to this tariff issue that your president, who you support, what are you going to do about it in the short run for the people of Indiana? Thank you, Senator Young.
I got skills. Hey, Todd, it's me again. All right. So, in my veteran circle, there is a lot of people very concerned. Very concerned about losing their health care, losing the jobs. At the VA, there was reported that one of my friends, their appointment got canceled because their mental health provider got fired. When my social worker is getting harassed by emails stating, "What 5 things have you done today? It's hard enough to get mental health care. Being a veteran, it's hard enough because they done backed it up so far, and then you want to cut more jobs? How's that going to help? Right. I've called Jim, I've called Todd, I've called them all. I'm not okay. I'm not going to say cuss words today.
Senator Young, my name is Charles Hanson. I'm a retired professional engineer in the state of Indiana and 16 other states. I know that you are one of the principal sponsors of the CHIPS and Science Act.
Yeah.
It was my understanding that your reason for sponsoring the act was your knowledge from your military experience that the United States has incurred a significant military vulnerability due to our dependence on basically a single vendor with only one facility located in Taiwan, a location that is vulnerable to typhoons, earthquakes, and most importantly, the threat of a military takeover by mainland China. Last week, our revenge-minded president in the State of the Union address demanded the revocation of the CHIPS Act because of one of Joe Biden's corrupt projects. To date, you have not stood up in defense of the act. My question to you tonight is why not? I am not anywhere aware of any changes to the national security reasons for sponsoring the act in the first place. The only reason I have heard for Trump's attack on the act is that it was signed by Biden. And were you aware, Senator, that before you were born, General Motors operated a state-of-the-art chip facility right here in Kokomo, Indiana? It is time for you to regain your spine and stand up for the principles you espoused when the people of Indiana sent you to the Senate. Quit being a party toady, or you are likely to be memed as Senator Todd Young.
Senator Young, respectfully, I'm Lynn Jenkins from Zionsville, Indiana, one of your constituents. I have followed you for a long time, a lot on Facebook, on your following your post. You've been you've talked a lot lately and did a lot of pictures, which you're famous for doing those posts. But I've admired you because you were so proud of being a Marine who stood for integrity, knowing or doing what you thought was right. And even when we disagreed, I still admired that you stood on integrity. However, today I'm standing here because you've lost your backbone. I'm an 80-year-old woman who still works part-time because Social Security isn't enough for me. I am unhappy with the changes that are happening with Social Security, so people like me have to travel far they're going to do away with the phones and a lot of the people that help us out with our calls.
Right.
But I'm not here just for Social Security, and I certainly don't want a $5,000 check from Doge.
No!
I'm here because I grew up knowing this was a melting pot. And I believe that many cultures, many religions, many languages, many colors, many genders make us better. They don't harm us. I'm standing here for veterans, for the Voice of America, for USAID, for the National Institute of Health, for the Department of Education, for NOAA, and the EPA. I'm asking you to find your backbone and stand up to Trump.
Yeah!
I'm Dr. Valerie McCrae, and I tried my best to take one of those seats. And I'm here to tell Todd Young, if he does not vote to impeach Donald Trump, I'm coming after that seat.
all his benefits. I'm worried about the LGBTQ community. I have been attacked in a store. I had breast cancer several years ago. I don't know if they thought I was trans or what, but I was verbally attacked. And they seem like they're getting really bold.
Right.
Hate is not helping. And also I wanted to address women, Black, Hispanic, Medal of Valor recipients. The links are being taken down. As a former Marine, how are you not helping with that? How are you not speaking up?
Good evening, maybe, Senator. I don't know whether you're having a good evening because you're not here. have you ever had an autistic meltdown? I thought not. They look different for everyone, and for me, it can only be described as a primal state. It's effectively experienced in the third person. No words, just white, hot anger. You throw stuff, you yell, you scream, you kick. I'm 26, folks. I shouldn't be doing that, and if I do that, I go to jail. I called it primal, though, because it's not a choice. Excuse me, it's not a choice. I wish more than anything else in the world to not have meltdowns. They're embarrassing, exhausting, and cruel to myself and my wife and anyone else in the vicinity. I haven't had an episode in over 2 years because of this. Because of the support I've gotten from the community and health professionals. Just under a year ago, Mr. Young, you co-sponsored a bill called the RISE Act. This bill proposed that students with disabilities should be allowed to use their existing accommodations from high school when entering college. You confirmed Robert F. Kennedy Jr. as the Secretary of Health and Human Services. This man wants to reevaluate mental health medications. Well, the only reason I'm here today for you, Senator, is because of medication. Without that, without medication, I die. My wife, also autistic, dies. All of my friends, all of you, die. Thank you.
Hi, Senator. My name's Diana. You might know me. I write to you very often, although I get these stupid canned responses that I don't So, I am not a born Hoosier. I grew up in Oklahoma. I moved to Alaska when I was 18 years old. I've driven the highway through Canada 3 times. I moved to Indiana, stayed here for a long time, raised my family. This is where my family was raised. Then I moved to South Carolina, North Carolina, Texas, and when I had twin granddaughters, I moved back to Indiana because this felt like home. Yes. There are so many issues I want to talk about. The women's issues. My company I work for is in Texas. I fly there once a month. I've been doing that for 3 years. And every day on the news, there are stories about women who died because they didn't get the health care they needed, or they were sent out to the parking lot until they were near death or were sick enough to be treated. That can't happen in this country. My children, my sons, who are in their 30s, almost 40, have a gay dad. And I need somebody in the GOP to face them face to face and tell them why their dad doesn't deserve to have rights. The GOP is making people afraid of an indoctrination boogeyman that never existed.
Absent Senator, my name is Laura Ball. You will not recognize me because when I went to DC to your office, you were curiously unavailable then as well. I don't have time tonight to discuss immigration, censorship, the firing of the National Archivist, which tracks our voting, because apparently we won't need to vote anymore. So let's skip morality, ethics, culture. Let's just focus on money. I'm a small business owner. My last order, I had to pay hundreds of dollars in additional tariffs. These tariffs were never going to work, but they're especially not going to work in this case because there is no comparable manufacturing in this country. So I have to eat that out of my margin. That's money that I will not be spending with other American businesses, or I can upcharge my customers with money they're not going to be spending with American businesses. Zero wins all around. But wait, I also have an agricultural interest. after the dismantling of USAID, the reneging of federal contracts with USDA, leaving farmers high and dry. Farmers are really taking a dive. And the new tariffs on agricultural products, I understand. Like most fields in Indiana, my fields are field corn and soybeans. And Trump, who got all of his agricultural knowledge from playing Farmville when it was too rainy to golf, says that these tariffs are going to actually just be great for farmers because apparently we can just snap our fingers and turn sweet corn and field corn into fully mature fruit orchards to replace the tariff. It takes more than 3 clicks in real life.
Right.
There's 0 wins all around. The absent senator knows this, not only because he purports to represent Hoosiers, but also because he briefly mentioned it before Elon took him in a back room and brought him back on a sparkly pink leash. To be clear, in my emails, phone calls, letters, hand-delivered letters, and many other attempts to reach you, this is not the tone I would have taken. But by this point, you have simultaneously, amazingly demonstrated that not only do you have 0 respect for me as a person, you're also too scared to face me, which is pretty amazing, but Republicans also just identified not as calendarists. So the Republican Party is newly innovative and on some level respect. I didn't know I could simply choose to avoid filing my taxes by declaring the calendar invalid. So bravo, when you're ready to have an adult conversation, please, I would love that. Thank you.
Senator Todd Young, you don't know me, but you've heard from me. And like the rest of the folks here, you didn't really come back with anything that connected with my questions. Nothing. None at all. And my point is, I will probably battle, okay? But the major concern for me is this country was founded for we the people. Would be absolutely beside themselves that this atrocity is taking place. So why the hell are all our senators and congresspeople cowering to a man who has no integrity, no honor, no principles, no decency?
He raped a woman.
He accosts women. And let me get to the point that you're all from immigrants. My folks were immigrants. Okay? They struggled to get from that better life that was promised. Everybody came here trying to get a better life. Very few of them were actually malicious people. Okay? The bottom line is you have used and abused and come up with spin tactics to confuse and trade on bullshit. The country is better than this. Okay? I want to make clear my opinion. Separation of church and state was the smartest thing our founders did. Absolutely. Bottom line, for me, I learned through the years, as you grow up and meet new and different people, that everybody here was created by the same source. I don't care what you call him, be he Jesus or Beelzebub. The bottom line is the one creator created everyone here. So get over your concerns and have a heart for the first time in your lives. Why do you have to step on somebody to feel good? I want you to protect and defend this country, to stand for honor, decency, and integrity, for the best for everyone, because we are better if we work together.
Hello, Corbin Hagner. I am a lifelong Hoosier, age 30, lived here all my life. I both in Fort Wayne area and Indianapolis now. But I do want to mention something that has poisoned the discourse around a community that I'm a part of, the autistic community. And that was 1998. A doctor by the name of Andrew Wakefield put out a quack study that was widely debunked and rebuked by the entire scientific community, totally cherry-picking data, but he fed this lie that people like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. spread, that somehow vaccines were linked to autism, the MMR and such. And for one thing, I hear that as an autistic person, it's like, wait, am I that big of a problem? That you want to bring measles back? That bringing measles back is an important thing? It is worth it, but measles was eradicated in 2000 and now it's coming back. And it also ignores the fact that there are more autism cases being seen because we have adjusted the diagnostic criteria and we are not in hiding anymore, okay? We are here, we are a part of the community. I teach in IPS, I graduated from public schools in Indiana. This is who I am, and it is a disgrace that you confirmed Robert F. Kennedy Jr. after all the damage and poison discourse he brought to our community.
Senator Young, my name is Lan McMichael. I live in Indianapolis. I've been corresponding with you in a rather uneven fashion for several years. I write to you about issues like climate change and get emails back assuring me that you love fishing. I'm glad you love fishing. I need you to love it a little bit more, actually. But what I'm here today to ostensibly talk to you about is the freezing of Inflation Reduction Act funding. My church was one of about 50 faith communities that received a grant to plant a forest on our land. This was federal money through the Inflation Reduction Act distributed by the nonprofit Faith in Place. We won this grant. It was going to increase food security and employment in our community, as well as providing shade and beauty and greater natural benefits to the people who live around our church and to the congregation who worships there. You might actually know some of this if you check your voicemail. I don't know how many times I've called you to tell you. But that money was frozen over a month ago now, and we're still in limbo. We're still waiting. We have people ready to do the work. We are owed this money. It was already it was distributed by Congress. It is our money to spend. It is not Trump's money to freeze. To check your voicemail, do consider that you need to pay out to the people who are trying to do good work in the state that we all love. Thank you.
Senator Young for now. What does Elon Musk, the unelected illegal immigrant that overstayed his visa, have on you guys? What kind of things are in your private emails and in our other representatives in this state in the Republican Party that makes it where you are cowering, where you can't even show your face today because you have to face we the people? What in the hell do they have on you guys? We're gonna find out. You might as well confess because we're gonna find out, aren't we, people? I grew up far-right evangelical Christian in Indiana. We escaped a cult when I was 14 years old. We had to blackmail people to get out of it. They destroyed my mother. They destroyed my family, okay? And now I have to face these same beliefs every single day, and the fear that I have to live under this kind of hatred and abuse of the people I love in my community and in my state. I am tired of this. We are all tired of this. Several years ago, because my sister could not get treated in Texas because they don't offer Medicaid for people like her with schizophrenia. I lost her. And now my mother, who relies on her Social Security and her Medicaid and her Medicare that she slaved for her entire life from paycheck to paycheck, low-paying jobs because she's a woman, until DEI came along and saved the women in our country from abusive men. And our disabled veterans from not being able to be hired anywhere. And yet Elon Musk spanks you in a back room, and you come out like a coward. Well, maybe you're not coming out as much as you should. And my sister, my tough sister, so tough as nails, 51 years old, a survivor of cancer several times, cervical cancer, okay? Who has a machine in her body that has to be filled with morphine and other things once a month, and Medicaid pays for it because no one else will. And she gets up every damn day, and she works so hard, and she's so strong, so much stronger than me, okay? And me with my autism and my weirdness, who follows your every mood, members of Congress. For the people I love in this state, the people who are going to fight you tooth and nail. Senator Todd doesn't go far enough because you don't get to murder my family, what's left of it. You don't get to steal my mother's Social Security, my sister's Social Security, my sister's Medicaid, the only thing keeping her alive. 2 weeks she'll have after you and Mike Braun and Micah Beckwith steal her Medicaid, and an unelected South African who overstayed his visa, and none of us want to be in charge. I have Asperger's. Do you see me Nazi saluting up here like a fool? Thank you everyone for listening. I just wanted to get that out.
Hi everyone, I'm Les Swern, live in Butler, Tarkenton, and retired from healthcare and public health management positions. I've got a little different tack tonight. I have two messages, one for Senator Young and one for you guys. For Senator Young, I think it's time you became an independent and leave the party. The party is gone. Your party has let everybody down. It's why you can't say what you believe. I believe you do have integrity, but you're not showing it, and you can show it if you become an independent and run as that in 2028. The Hoosiers under 40 totally distrust both political parties. They believe it's corrupt, they're the future, and they're looking for a voice that is principled and does not follow party line. Your core platform of peace through strength is made a mockery of by the current policies. Whether it be soft power of Voice of America or USAID or the hard power of the CHIPS Act and a military that's diverse and strong, it's being undercut every single day. We are becoming strength through appeasement and weakness. And I think that that goes against your core beliefs. I think you have a shot at winning the 2028 election, but I'd rather see you go it as an independent, and the risk is that we could elect an extremist like Michael Beckwith or Todd Rokita, and we don't want that to happen. My next message is to you. We need to change Indiana state law to enable Todd Young and other independents to run. And here's the problem. First of all, Indiana's one of 7 states that has a straight party ticket option. That causes everybody that's accustomed to it and doesn't pay attention to vote their party line. We need to eliminate that law. And second, the signature requirements for independents are totally unfair. For a Democrat or Republican, you need 4,500 ballot signatures to get on the ballot. For an independent, he would need 36,940 signatures. And it costs millions of dollars to do that. So in conclusion, I urge everybody here to step up, lobby, share with your friends, try to get those 2 laws changed. And for Senator Young, give it, I know it's unlikely, but go independent. That's what we need.
Hello, Senator Young. My name is Tom Atwell. I'm from Indianapolis, Irvington, and I just have a couple questions for you. Trump and many of your colleagues have stated that judges who do not rule in his favor should be impeached. Why do you agree with this? You have said nothing to the contrary. It has now been estimated that millions of people will die without the support that USA once provided. Why don't you care about these people? You said nothing when Trump closed USA. Shortly after he was inaugurated, Trump pardoned approximately 1,600 people who stormed the Capitol on January 6, 2021. Many of whom violently attacked police officers who were defending the Capitol. Why do you support Trump's action? You obviously do believe it was the right thing to do. You said nothing to criticize this action. Trump was forced to close his charitable organization, Trump Foundation, because he was using donated funds for his personal benefit. Why do you think such behavior is acceptable? You said nothing about this. A jury of 12 ordinary people have determined that Trump committed 32 counts of felony falsifying business records. Please tell me why those people were wrong. Donald Trump has stated that parts of Ukraine are now on the negotiating table with Putin. Does Trump really have the power to give another country's territory to Putin? What if Putin wanted to invade England? Does Trump have the authority to give London to Putin? Donald Trump stated that students engaging in illegal protests will be arrested and deported if from another country. What is an illegal protest? Are we done? Awesome. Thank you.
retired public school teacher. And I wrote my statement because I know I'm supposed to stay within my time limit. So, what everybody else said, first of all, and I guess I'll start my statement with a question for Mr. Young, Senator Young. What are our priorities? That's the big overarching question. So I'd like to address the existence of Elon Musk, who's a non-American, unelected, white supremacist, leading and cutting some of the basic human rights in this country, and why is the Republican Party supporting the efforts of DOGE, many of which are definitely borderline legal, but all of which are definitely inhumane and that are predicted to tank our economy and raise unemployment, as well as leave people without health care, Social Security, or many other essential life services. This is not about so-called efficiency. It is about revenge and control of the narrative. I lost my place. As well as the efforts to block research and information about essential science concerning medical research, climate change and weather, and anything having to do with human rights, the arts, education, and care for our women and children, and preserving some semblance of our democracy. And yet the country can afford to pour more and more money into the military. Again, I say, what are our priorities? You must stand up and object to some of these clearly abhorrent goals of Musk, Trump, and DOGE that definitely lead to his and the president's personal profits. Do your job.
Senator Young, my name is Bill Lambert. You can't see me, but I'm a straight white male, and I live here in Indianapolis, a town I'm proud of because it has people that aren't all straight white males. It's a town of diversity, and I'm proud of that. Senator Young, I know that Speaker Johnson warned Republicans not to attend town halls because there's paid disruptors that might disrupt the meeting. Will all the paid disruptors stand up? There's 600 people here, and I don't see anybody standing up there. They're paid disruptors. What are you afraid of? Are you afraid of democracy? Are you afraid of your constituents? Are you afraid of what you might hear if people are not happy with you? Senator Young, Americans don't back down in the face of tyranny and oppression, and neither should you.
Well, Senator Young, I hope you're appreciating the righteous anger and humor in the room tonight. My name's Nancy Cohn. I'm a resident of Indianapolis, a retired public health professional, and most relevantly, a Jew, an American Jew who's not a Zionist. Tonight, I'm wearing my keffiyeh as a demonstration of my solidarity with the Palestinian people who are wiped out with your approval and with U.S. weapons. I've written and called your office numerous times urging you to vote for a ceasefire or increasing humanitarian aid or even halting sending lethal weapons to Israel. And your response is always the same. You write that Israel is our closest ally and that they have the right to defend themselves. Do you call it self-defense when Tuesday night Israel shattered the ceasefire, killing over 400 people, half of whom are women and children? You have implied that criticism of Israel is an act of anti-Semitism. It is not anti-Semitic for me to say this killing must stop. Thank you. our new Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, who you voted to confirm. Ignoring hundreds of calls opposing him as totally unqualified. Yes, that Pete Hegseth terminated the Pentagon offices that focus on preventing civilian harm during combat operations. Apparently you, Senator, are in agreement with Hegseth and Netanyahu, who treat civilian deaths as simply collateral damage, worth any price if it means even one Hamas militant dies. So I'm here to say the blood of more than 50,000 Palestinians is on your hands as you have voted to withhold water, food, medicine, shelter. I mean, Gaza is now uninhabitable, and the destruction in the West Bank is creeping up too, making it dangerous for Palestinians there. So finally, in the name of freedom of speech, I demand freedom for the Columbia grad Mahmoud Khalil, who is a that he did to speak out against the Israeli war crimes committed with U.S. tax dollars, because, you know, never again means never again for anyone.
Hello, my name is Clay Postwell. I'm a transplant from Texas for like 8 years ago. I would like to just echo that a basic tenet of the Constitution, as the professor said earlier, is that the separation of powers, executive, judicial, and legislature, and the sharing of powers, and it was put in place so that not one single person or group of people wouldn't have extraordinary, unlimited power. And President Trump has asked, no, he hasn't asked, he has demanded you and the party to give him that power through his, retributive acts and his, I can call it corruption, but, and I can say that probably for most of us, we had hoped that you would be a voice of reason, a guardrail for our Constitution to stand up against this. It appears that you haven't. In almost everything so far, you've bowed down to our presidents, Trump and Musk, and given in to, especially the example of Hegseth and Kennedy and all those people, whose only qualifications were fealty to Trump, and not what they were supposed to be doing. So, my question for you is, are you going to, in light of what we've said about your integrity, your military service, your oath to the Constitution, are you going to be the one to stand up, or are we going to look for somebody else? We are asking that it be you to stand up for us, for the Constitution, for the people of Indiana.
Hello, I'm Kathy Dickerman. This has been a very fun evening, and I'd like to thank all the extremely eloquent and humorous people who preceded me talking. My message for the senator is very short. I think we've overdone partisanship in this country, and we need a new solution. So, here's my solution, but we're already doing it. Just keep it up.
Senator Young, my name is Dawn Fitch.
I'm loud, you can hear. I am not a paid actor. I am a mom, I am a grandma, I'm a sister, a wife, a mother, a neighbor, a friend, an ally, and your boss. I demand that for all of those rules. Oh, I'm a volunteer too, I worked at the pools. I demand that you stand up for us and you take back, Congress, take back the power that the Trump regime has stolen from us. I'm so mad I can hardly see straight, but let me put on my readers and then I will be able to see what I want to say. There are so many examples of the executive overreach, and one that is recent that I want to highlight is the executive branch firing 2 of the Democratic Federal Trade Commission commissioners. They're not allowed to do that. In 1935, the Humphreys executors versus the U.S. ruled the president does not have that power. The president also does not have the power to ignore a judge's ruling saying that you cannot So I quickly just want to say I also do not support at all threatening our allies Canada and threatening Greenland. The last thing that I want to say, this country, since the signing of the Constitution, has been mired, well, not mired, now it's mired, has been steeped in law and order. That is what we are about. We are following law and order. And now we have descended into a mockery to the rest of the world about law and order. So, Senator Young, if you refuse to stand up for us, I have one more thing to say to you. You are fired. Yeah.
My name is Joanne Giannini. Senator Young, I cry every day. Politics for me is a very personal thing. I am one of those people. I am of the people, and I have lots of feelings. I am pained by the rampant, ill-considered confusion that are hallmarks of our current government. I'm shocked by the ignorance and betrayal of executive tariffs. I'm disgraced by my country's abrupt departure from our allies around the world. We are no longer a gun-owning couple who are legal residents in Haddon Township, New Jersey. I think that is cruel and illegal. Would any of us in this room countenance these acts against the owners of Jersey Kebab? And Mr. Young, would you tolerate your mother being arrested and left in jail as Mrs. Amina Eminent was? Work to fix the immigration system, yes indeed, but never ever forget the value of intelligent kindness while appointing judges and dealing with the thousands of people who may or may not be affected by the immigration system. But my greatest disappointment is the duly elected congressional delegates such as yourself who have forgotten their oath of office by not assuming the responsibility to represent their constituents and to be open enough to hear from them. Where are you tonight, Mr. Young? And who now, while duly elected and sworn in to function as a balance of power in a bipartisan coalition in relation to the executive and the judicial branches of our government, fail to do so. Mr. Young, you are not paid your meager salary to forget your job description. To do anything less is to denigrate your constituents, your oath, and our constitutional democracy. Your military training suggests you are a man of courage and character, but you are now culpable, and history will mark it. Please, please, please stop the confusion and the carnage. My question is, when will you stand up to the executive and properly exercise the authority vested in you? I regret you may rue the day if you don't. Our votes for you are in the balance. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Brad, and he's a fake Marine. Before the British executed Nathan Hale, he said, "I regret that I have but one life to lose for my country." That guy has done nothing but gain from this country. And I want him gone. I don't want him running as an independent or anything. That good doctor that came up here and said she's going to run, I want her. And I want her to get out now, and I want her to get loud. Because that's what we need. We need people out there campaigning right now. Also, I see, a lot of people my age. This is our fight. It's not our grandchildren's fight. And what can we do while we're being steamrolled by these fascists? We need to get out and demonstrate. April 5th is coming up. Check it out. I don't know what it is yet. I'm not that well informed, but check it out, April 5th. And also the month of May for Indianapolis. We need to make a big showing because the world is going to be watching Indianapolis in May. So get together, let's organize, and show who we are.
My name is Kristen Jaden. I was once a Republican darling, an intern, a legislative assistant. I was a lobbying intern and even a campaign staffer. I believed in service and public good, but over time I started to see things change. I saw how immigrants, women, and people who were other were increasingly dehumanized, and that did not reflect my values. In April 2020, I got long COVID, and it changed my life. In 2021, my husband died, and I became a widow overnight, and I was plunged into poverty. Today, I depend on programs from government assistance like Medicare, Medicaid, and food stamps, and also I'm held up by the kindness of friends and family in my church. But these programs are under attack, and the people who depend on them are under attack. I am afraid not just for myself, but especially for people who are other, people who are poor, people who aren't white, who are disabled, who aren't a typical gender according to some, immigrants, but also our friends and allies overseas, children and families in Gaza who are suffering, our friends in Ukraine. But I'd like to share a story that Nicholas Kristof reported a couple of days ago in the New York Times about the impact of USAID changes. And it's about a little Sudanese boy named Evan Anzu. He was 5 years old. He was born HIV positive. A program was keeping him alive. It cost 12 cents a day. It also kept his mother alive. Recently, that funding stopped. His mother died, and less than a week later, Evan also passed away. I think these people deserve to be cared for, to be treated humanely. We have values, but I'm not seeing that in the way that Republicans and this administration and Elon are treating people. If 12 cents a day isn't efficient enough for Elon, what will be?
Senator Young, I'm Karen.
You've heard some voicemails from me. I started out, sending a lot of them, but I slowed down when I started receiving your newsletter, because it was clear from your newsletter that you were not crazy. You were not a fanatic like some of your colleagues. And you would have just a normal paragraph describing energy or healthcare, and then you'd have one crazy sentence at the end, like, oh, that's why I support Robert F. Kennedy Jr. for Secretary of Health, or that's why, Pete Hegseth will be great for the DOD, a man who doesn't believe in logistics. So I know that you are stupid. You're not somebody who is unaware of what's going on, like some members of the House that have been interviewed recently. But in some ways that worries me more than if you were, because it tells me that your incentives are elsewhere. I've never met you. I can't say that I would have voted for you if you'd been on the ballot when I was voting, but it's concerning to me that somebody who appears to have all their faculties still feels pressured into going along with everything that's going on. You don't need the people to explain it to you. You saw the new defense secretary dismiss the JAGs, the lawyers, who determine when force is warranted or not. You saw the president trying to impeach judges who rule against him. You see him pushing back against his own Supreme Court, who now seems to recognize the error that they made, offering him immunity from all of the men like Donald Trump, autocrats, they have no reason for senators. They don't have a reason to have House members. They don't need a Congress. And once you've served your purpose, you'll be gone. If he's merciful, he'll just dismiss you. But Donald Trump is not a merciful man. And I think you should consider that when he eventually makes a huge mistake and you're called upon to impeach him and to remove him from office. I would advise you to take that opportunity when it comes, because you may not get another one after that.
My name is Alex Rollo. When I walked in here, I had no intention of speaking because I know he doesn't care. He doesn't respect you. He doesn't respect me. He has no inclination to do the right thing on behalf of anybody besides himself. And so I've sat here tonight and I've listened to beautiful people speak and try so passionately, so authentically, that I had to stand up and say, I will fight with every single one of you. In the spaces that are not represented in this room tonight, I will bring the education to those that don't speak English. I will bring the education to those that don't understand how the system is currently designed. I will do that for you, not for him. I will do that for you. Thank you. And I really, really, really want to thank every single heart and soul and mind in this room, because you are the reason I get up in the morning.
Impassioned, and I really appreciate that. My name is Lisa Pointer, and I'm a special needs instructor for 40 plus years in the state of Indiana. I just retired. And I was going to get up here and talk about how Musk calls disabled people on Social Security parasites. And the fact that when I tried to call for a student of mine that was 18 and we're trying to get her Social Security, services going, she wanted to go to college, had every ability to go to college. I was told there would be a 90-minute wait to just talk to a social worker employee. So I thought, well, I'll email, because teachers, we don't have 90 minutes to wait on the phone. And so I thought, well, let me email. No response. So, but I'm not going to talk about that tonight, because we know all about that. I wanted to piggyback on what our friend Bill said over there about why the Republicans are so afraid right now, and why this guy's a no-show. I think they're afraid because they and their families are being pressured and threatened by our president and the vice president. They're scared. Their tails are on fire. They don't know what to do. They don't even show up for their town halls. But they're afraid and they're scared of Trump because of those threats. They're scared of us because they know their platform isn't popular. Let me tell you right now, these same people, this guy right here that isn't here right now, he told us teachers, be brave when there's a gunman in the building. Be brave. And I was brave. I went to work every day, ready to put my body in front of a child if I had to, if there was a gunman in the building, if there's danger lurking. So, Mr. Young, I'm telling you, we're in harm's way. There's danger lurking in the halls of Congress. There's a gunman in the building, and you need to be brave.
Of the posterior that's supposed to be sitting in this chair. I've been reaching out to the senator multiple times with multiple questions and concerns. Oh, sorry. I was going to list all those times and concerns, but then no one else would have time to express theirs. I'd like to point out that not only do I never get any response, I no longer even get his lying form letter claiming to appreciate my concerns and falsely promising a response, sorry. So I'd like to know why the senator, there's just a few things that I wanted to say that wouldn't take all night. So I'd like to know why the senator is perfectly okay with ceding the power of Congress to the executive branch, allowing him to illegally seize funds Congress has appropriated and ignore laws that Congress has enacted. I'd also like to know why he rubber-stamped dangerously unqualified cabinet nominations. I'd like to know why he's okay with breaking treaties and ties with our allies, even ones like the USMCA, which the president himself signed. I'd like to know why he's okay with Putin and Trump dividing up a country that was illegally invaded and has been fighting and dying to protect their democracy. When I was in school before the rewriting of history, we were taught that the assault and seizing of sovereign nations by a maniacal fascist dictator was wrong, and standing up against that was the right thing to do. Protect and defend our Constitution, your silence proves that our word means nothing, our laws mean nothing. I'm embarrassed and saddened by the total capitulation of the Republican Party to the destruction of our nation, and for what? More power for the ultra-wealthy?
My name is Carly Anderson, and I have a question for you, Senator Young. What kind of men, the richest in the world, use their power to further enrich themselves with tax breaks by taking health care and sustenance from the working poor, men who, by the way, we called essential workers, if you recall, the elderly and the dead. What kind of men are these? I'll tell you. These are greedy men, and these are cruel men. And don't you for a minute tell me that Donald Trump is not a racist. You are Young, you are in the military. You know what they're doing in the Pentagon right now? They're removing all the black soldiers' pictures. The latest being Jackie Robinson. That is racist.
Hi, everybody. My name is Shay. I was born and raised in the city of Indianapolis. Wouldn't live anywhere else. I just have one question for Senator Young. And for a while, I thought that his answer was really important to me and to my well-being and my mental health. But as time went on, I've learned that I think the answer to this question is really imperative to him as an ex-Marine and as a man. Who do you work for?
My name's Steve Venerable, and I'm a public school teacher here in Indianapolis. And I can tell you, I'm not getting paid, because if somebody was getting paid here, it would be me. We're always looking for money. I teach students with special needs, and I can tell you, every year it gets tighter and tighter. I sit in these meetings for students, and they need mental health services. Oh, there's a waiting line. They need medication. Oh, the parents can't get the health insurance. They can't get the Medicare. They're waiting on it. Every year it gets harder to meet these students' needs. And we try, believe me, but there's nothing more frustrating than knowing what the child needs and also knowing that we can't fulfill those needs. We can't meet those needs. And everything that's happening right now is going to make this worse. We're talking about cutting at the federal level, state level, cutting local funding. Everything is going to make this worse. And if you want to send your kids to private school, that's great. But that money is coming out of the budgets in these public schools that don't have it to spare. And it is so frustrating. We burn out a lot of teachers because they're just frustrated they can't do what needs to be done. They can't help the students in the way that they know they should be. And I just am so frustrated that that's not a concern for him and his party.
Well, Senator Young, my name is Lauren Johnson. I'm a lifetime Hoosier. I grew up in the public school system. I attended a private Christian college. I grew up very conservative Christian, and I've changed because I've met the people of Indiana. And I don't understand the hatred. I just don't understand it with a president who's standing up and saying, I'm a Christian. The Christians, the real ones, we think you're bullshit. Because Jesus called us to love everybody. And what you're hating against is my friend who lives at home, disabled, in a wheelchair, and if she doesn't have Medicaid, she doesn't have anyone to help her. And she's gonna get moved into a nursing home, and I don't know if you've been in a nursing home, they're not privatized, Senator Young. We're talking about the ones that smell of feces and urine when you walk through the hallways, the ones that you don't get to shower, you don't get your medication on time. These are the things that we're really, really needing you to step up on. And let's talk about transgendered people. Why do you hate them? Do they hurt you? They don't hurt you. We're not asking you to be transgendered. I am part of the LGBTQ community, and I'm proud of it. The hatred has got to stop, because what are you doing and fighting these things for? Is for money. And where's the money going? Billionaires. What? When the vulnerable population of our state and our country are suffering, you want to give money to Jeff Bezos? And to other billionaires? Why? Because you hate us. I want you to ask yourself, why? When Jesus called you to love.
Hello, Katrina. I wrote things down to keep my thoughts organized. Oh, okay. Thank you. It's frustrating, but not surprising to come to an empty chair town hall. In many ways, it's fitting. It reflects the broader approach in today's governance, ignoring the very people who elect you. And that's betrayal. It's a betrayal because we're not abstractions, statistics, or labels. We're human beings. We build, maintain, and improve our communities through love and labor. We're the backbone of this country, yet we're treated as afterthoughts until election season rolls around. Let me introduce myself. I study religions, ethics, and history. I'm a self-taught artist and avid gardener. My day job, I help doctors understand new medicines and ensure companies communicate about them in ways that are both factual and legally sound. Before that, I worked in a pharmacy where I regularly did the job of 2, sometimes 3 people, despite having a robot to help me. I saw firsthand how insurance companies deny critical medications, how pharmacies lose money filling life-saving prescriptions, and how at every turn, the system seems to prioritize profit over people. And this is where I speak directly to the senator and to all those in power, Republicans and Democrats alike. Where is your moral courage? Moral courage is the ability to stand up for what is right, even when it's unpopular, even when it carries personal risk. It means acting with integrity, not self-interest. It's about acting in a way that benefits our common humanity and moves us towards peace, not violence. But for decades, a largely bipartisan economic policy has been deliberately designed to funnel wealth into fewer and fewer hands. Wages have stagnated despite record worker productivity. The middle class, shrinking. Meanwhile, thanks to Citizens United, unfortunately a Republican-engineered catastrophe, our political system has become an auction house where billionaires and corporations bid for influence, while ordinary Americans, the people in this room, are voiceless. Where has that led us? We can look around. People working full-time at Walmart still need food stamps to survive. Taxpayers end up subsidizing Walmart's poverty wages only for those same food stamps to be spent at Walmart. A closed loop of corporate welfare, the same welfare that has benefited Elon Musk's companies for nearly 2 decades. And here in Indiana, the minimum wage is still $7.25 when it's at least a living wage is at least $20 for one adult with no children. It is an insult. Meanwhile, the cost of living continues to skyrocket. Wages remain frozen. People left behind are not statistics. They are human beings full of dignity, potential, and talent that is systematically wasted in a rigged game. And for what? Psychotic levels of material access not necessary for anyone's happiness or survival. Senator Jim Banks declared the old Republican Party is dead, and he's right. The Republican Party I grew up knowing at least claimed to value checks and balances, some semblance of fiscal responsibility, principled debate, but it unfortunately has been increasingly replaced by a movement fueled by hatred, extremism, dehumanization, and amplified by technology. In a healthy society, children do not get shot in schools. And representatives like Stutzman doesn't advocate to repeal laws from the 1930s that took guns from criminals off the streets. I know I'm at time, so I'll skip around a little bit. I'm sorry, but I work really hard on this. When due process is eroded for one group, it is eroded for all people. Ignoring checks and balances of co-equal branches of government is a political maneuver, calculated assault on democracy. Yes. We have allowed those in power to divide us, to create false narratives of an enemy, to suppress our rights, our right to vote, to autonomy, to dignity, and a slow, steady erosion. We need ethical leaders
that unite and not divide, that strengthen democracy rather than dismantle it, who serve the people rather than corporate donors, leaders who have moral courage. Todd Young, we are asking and demanding that you be that kind of leader. Will you stand with those who rely on you, or will we have yet another empty chair where leadership should be?
Senator Young, I am saddened. I am so disappointed in my country's government. Actually, I think government is a good thing. I think government does wonderful things. I had a partner who was in hospice for 3 months, and I told everybody after he died, hospice is one of the things that has restored my faith in the United States. Because it's a great program. That's just one of many, many, many great programs that our government does that's currently being raped by Musk and Trump, which is no surprise from Trump because we all know, right?
Musk should not be there.
They disregard our courts. They don't pay attention to rulings. I believe it's a criminal enterprise that's going on in our White House. Your complacency, Senator, is acquiescence. You're not part of the solution. You're part of the problem. So my question to you, Senator, is will you do something for your constituents? Will you stand up for this wonderful country, this dream that's being cut off by the criminals in the White House?
Hi, I'm going to keep this short like me. First of all, I agree with everybody who spoke before me. They're fantastic, and I agree with everything. I refuse to call him senator.
Thank you.
He is not doing the job. Why should we give him that respect? He hasn't earned it. Think about this. The GOP and all of Congress could have been rid of Trump 4 years ago. And they didn't do it. They didn't impeach him. And now what do we have? Now they're stuck kissing his, okay? You know, I mean, it's unbelievable. I'm a constituent. My name is Michelle Shook. I'm happy to tell you. And you've heard from me numerous times. And I don't have much to say because I really wasn't going to plan to say anything, but I couldn't sit there and do it. But I want to ask him why he doesn't have the guts to come and face us. You know, well, because he's been told not to. You don't do something you're not told to. Okay, yeah, that's the problem. And I've sent both this guy and Banks, the other guy, many emails. I've called them several times. I get cute emails back. Oh yeah, that really impresses me. But I have a couple questions. First one, how can you go or allow our government to go to the UN, vote with Russia, North Korea, and Belarus against our allies? My time is not up. But first of all, how can you look yourself in the mirror? And how can you look at your family in the face? That's all I have to say.
Hello, my name is Henry. I'm a student at Purdue, and I grew up in Indianapolis. This is less a message for Senator Young, but for you all. This is something that I read in a book called Let This Radicalize You by Miriam Kava and Kelly Hayes. This is something that I read in there, and it really inspired me, and it's helped it's helped me figure out what I want to do when I'm becoming more involved in politics and advocating, and it's the idea of active hope. And in the book, active hope is described through 3 steps. First, take a realistic view of the world around you and what is going on, the situation you're in. 2 is to think about the ideals that you want to see represented in the world, the direction you want to see the world move in. And then 3rd, make steps to push the world in that direction, right? And what I like about this idea is that it doesn't require optimism. You don't have to be sure that what you do is going to make a change. But whatever you do, it's going to get you one step closer to that goal, right? It doesn't require hope. And one quote from this book that really, really stuck with me is that with active hope, hope does not just stay as a source of inspiration, but it becomes a strategic imperative. And that has really, really stuck with me, and I think it's something that would be very valuable for us to consider as we continue moving forward to advocate for the change that we want to see in the world. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Senator. Seem to have lost a little weight since the last time I saw you. It was on C-SPAN where you voted for ignoramuses, thugs, and unqualified toadies. But be that as it may, actually, Jim Banks actually makes you look better, but that's an awfully low bar. My name is Jeff Colson. My wife and I are precinct chairs in Perry Township. And yes, there are Democrats in Perry Township, more than you think. I was a public elementary school teacher for 40 years. Eight and 9-year-olds mostly, a time when those hearts and minds are being formed. I had 4 signs in my room every one of those years. I call it Colson's Creed. Number 1 was always, it's okay to be different.
Yes.
Number 2, we all need help in something. Number 3, we're all good at something. And number 4, we all learn at different speeds.
Yes.
I don't care how long it takes to get there, you will get there. Now, I wonder under the Project 2025 administration, would I even be allowed to have those 4 signs in my classroom today?
That's right.
And I wonder if I had refused to take those signs down, would I still have had my job?
That's right.
Or if I had complained and stood against it, would I even have my freedom?
That's right.
I wish I was still teaching. It was the best thing I've ever done in my life, except meet my wife. And all I can say is I'm glad so many other educators are here today, because God bless you. Thank you for your service.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Chris Webb. I'm a Navy veteran, 100% disabled. I'm also a retired businessman. I'm a trans man, so I'm scared to death like a lot of people. I saw on the news, I think it was yesterday, when they were taking the prisoners out of the country and stuff, and it hit me. That could be trans people.
Yes. Yes.
That could be me in a year.
Yes.
But you know, this is very dark times, and I was standing over here thinking what I was going to say, but we're all the light. That's not hokey. We showed up. We're here. We need to be here for each other. Be the light. Senator, this stuff can't fly. You know, I've met the senator 2 times. We're in an organization together called American Legion. It's the only organization overseen by Congress. We have to go to Congress and tell them what kind of good deeds we did all year. And with American Legion, there's 2 things. There's for God. I don't know what his relationship was with God. I'm a chaplain. That's between him and God. But the other one is it's for God and country. His country is for him is lacking. He has not stepped up to his duties for God and country. He has become an embarrassment to us veterans. Do better, Senator. That's all we ask. Do better.
My name is Delaney, and I'm deeply afraid of speaking in front of more than 10 people. But I just wanted to let everybody here know that Senator Young's going to be in Bloomington on April 15th. From 11 to 1, he'll be a speaker for an event at the Monroe County Convention Center. And, you know, I will be there, and you're going to hear us, Senator Young. Thank you.
Good evening, Senator Young in absentia. My name is Beth Pope, and I am a retired federal employee. I will say right now, thankfully retired. Like many here, I have contacted your office many times and have not received responses. So here's some questions for you. Do you support any cuts to federal pensions, Social Security, or Medicare? It's a simple yes or no. Next, from one of my former colleagues, a current federal employee who had some reservations about coming here tonight. There are thousands of federal workers here in Indiana, many of whom directly support those who defend our country and protect our homeland. These workers greatly contribute to the nation and our state. What will you do to ensure their jobs are not lost? Next, we have a division of power we've heard about a few times this evening, written into our Constitution, with each branch playing a role to ensure our democracy is strong. What is your stance on the Trump administration defying court orders? Do you support law and order? That means abiding by court orders and impeaching a president that does not. Also, do you support due process? I do not believe all the deportations happening are violent criminals just because President Trump says they are. Again, I ask, do you support due process? We all deserve answers to our questions. I normally would not consider a Marine a coward. But not scheduling a town hall during the March recess, that is cowardly. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. We've got 5 or 6 more people in line. So if you need to leave, please do so quietly. But if you can give us another 10 to 15 minutes, we'd love to let the rest of the people talk. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Erin, and I live in Broad Ripple. I'm a 40-something-year-old wife, mother of 2 boys, and a social worker. I must also share that I am a recovering conservative. Cincinnati and in the Nazarene faith in a very evangelical environment. I thought Christians had to be Republican. And learning how to be a social, and learning how to be a social worker and advocating for others, I quickly learned that my views were different than what I grew up with. And it was scary. I thought I would go against God and His will if I voted a certain way. There were arguments with family and church members, but there was still love. I didn't condemn anybody who still chose to vote conservatively. I understood it. But the last 10 years have been so different. I don't understand it. Every Bible story, Bible verse, vacation Bible school, Sunday school lesson I learned seem to mean the opposite now. Love your neighbor is now don't accept people that are different than you. Feed the hungry is now, well, it's their fault they don't have money. Heal the sick is now, let's take away their health insurance. Day after day and hour by hour, we are inundated with news stories of the next chaotic decision Trump has made. I know it's on purpose. Trump is doing everything he said he was going to do. Being a social worker, he is textbook narcissistic, and really, he can't help it. Narcissists are all over the planet, but they should not be running for the leader of the free world. looking and waiting for the heroes of this story. They are tough to find. Please help me explain this to my kids. Help me explain that the bully is winning. They're used to the good guys winning in the end. Is that going to happen? I could sit and rage at Trump and Vance and their disloyalty, their betrayal, and their lack of empathy, but they are supposed to have guardrails and barriers, and that is Congress. I am furious with Congress, and most that I'm mad at is you, Senator Young, and Senator Vance. Because you represent me, and all of you. You know both deep down what the right thing is to do, but you do not do it. You could be the heroes of this story, get into good trouble, get your names in the papers for a good reason. We have your back. If I'm able to change my views, so can you. And anyone that voted for Trump, fight with us, help us clean up this mess.
Hello, everyone. My name is Hillary. And I was late because parking was full, half-a-mile radius, all the way around. Now, I am a sign language interpreter, and I know that there is ways you can change meaning with words and with phrases just by changing the tone, just by changing what you stress. And today, I'm going to change a phrase. Are you ready? Yeah. Okay, boomers, okay. Woo! You guys showed up. I am so proud to fight with you. You guys represent a generation that never gave up. I promise you my generation will not either. I today, fittingly, interpreted an ethics class. We all think ethics means the choice between right and wrong. I did. Today I learned from the professor that ethics is choosing the situation or the choice that causes the least harm. And by definition, you are not ethical. Locally, we are fighting. I gave testimony for Senate Bill 518. This bill wants to dismantle our public schools. And if this passes, Shortridge High School will close. I have 3 children in IPS. This affects us locally. I also want to say to everybody, download the 5 Calls app.
Yeah.
5 Calls app. Another thing I want you all to know locally, last week we had an establishment called the Chatterbox. MAGA went into the Chatterbox and that video went viral, and they are suffering. Everybody, go out to the Chatterbox. We need to support our local businesses. And I don't think it was the parking situation why he's late, but what I can see now, this poster is here because it has more of a spine.
Hey friends, I'm a federal worker. I'm an environmental scientist, and I'm heavily involved in public safety. And what I need Senator Young to explain to me is he needs to make DOGE make sense. I'd like to share with you a couple obstacles that DOGE has put in our path from doing our actual job that's costing us, the taxpayer, quite a bit of money. And I'm not even going to mention, or barely mention, the 5 bullets email because it's the least of our freaking problems. And the subtext is totally lost on the media because we all know Elon's going to scrape it with his AI to hurt us or get us fired somehow. They canceled our charge cards. We're scientists, we're field scientists. I got guys heading up to Angola Lake to fix an environmental monitoring station 5 times a week, up and down, super efficient. They've been canceled for weeks, and we don't know when we're getting them back. That's fine. They canceled our office leases. Not closing, not firing anybody, the office leases are closed. That means we all have to move by May, August, whenever they were supposed to be renewed. Just moving from point A to point B would cost $1 million, much less having to fabricate a laboratory, warehouse, where lots. It's absurd. It's important for you guys to know that they are trying their best to break us. We stand in the blood of our fired federal brothers and sisters.
Yes.
And it's all I can do every day to put a solid 8 hours in. But I do. And my coworkers do too. And it's not because environmental science is our passion. It's not just because civil service is our passion. And it's not for the money. Sure, it's not for the money. But Senator Young, as a federal worker, you and I took the exact same oath. And that oath makes me strong. They're trying to break us. Not gonna happen. Elon Musk, Doge, and big balls can drag me out of my office. I'll leave you guys with a chilling saying that I heard that also empowered me, and that is that nobody is coming to save us. The Democrats have shown that they don't got it in them, and the Republicans have shown their true colors time and time again. Nobody is coming to save us. It's up to us now.
Hello, my name is Amy. Hi, I forgot who I was talking to.
It's so forgettable.
My heart has been broken along with those that have spoken about that, just about all the human rights atrocities and everywhere, all the people that are being trampled right now. But I've heard and agree with so many things, but I felt that it was still important for me to stand up, even though I'm tired right now. From protesting so much, to just speak out for the immigrant population. Myself, I was born in Colombia, South America. I was adopted as a 4-month-old and brought here. My parents were Hoosiers. They wrote to their congressman to bring me here and to break all the red tape at those years. I started elementary school when the year that busing was started, and saw other people that looked somewhat like me. And in high school, started to see more people that looked like me. Went off to college, got my degree in secondary education, and then came back here, saw more people that looked like me, immigrants, and I started working in that in public service, and worked along public health nurses as well, doing case management with a lot of underprivileged populations. Later became a nurse as a single mom, and now I am a women's healthcare provider, a certified nurse midwife. I've been working with pregnant moms all throughout the Central Indiana, a lot of them immigrants. And so I'm here to stand up and just say that they are wonderful people, and they don't deserve what is happening. My son, who is a citizen, does not deserve to have to go get his passport renewed. We got a little card that he can have in his wallet to keep him safe. That he does not deserve that. And just down the road here, the Hondurans that got pulled out of their truck saying in Spanish, grown men saying, "I'm scared." They don't deserve that, no matter whether they're documented or not. So I'm here. I'm here to stand up with those that are scared to be here and are scared to go work and are scared to be out in public, and that is a shame to you.
My name is Sharon, and
And I'm also here to stand up for our federal workforce. I happen to have family and friends that are federal employees. Two of the worst things that I've seen is Elon Musk with his chainsaw waving at how he's going to gut the federal workforce. One of the most disrespectful, humiliating things I've ever seen. A couple nights ago, they were asking Trump, a reporter asked him, don't you feel guilty? Don't you feel bad about what you're doing to our federal workers? And he said, well, yeah, but most of them don't do their jobs anyway. Well, I'm here to say, I happen to know federal workers who are extremely dedicated to what they do. And I want them to know they are not federal waste.
Hi, my name is Joanna. I'm from Indiana. Mama of 4, realtor, a proud Hoosier, and Todd, because that's what your name is, you are a failure.
Thank you.
I'm getting my notes up. That was the most important thing I wanted to say. You are a failure. Your number one job is to represent us, we, the people, and we are here. Have you ever had a town hall this big? No. Have you ever heard from so many constituents repeatedly, or even new constituents I had never called before? The 5 calls app, who's it? I had never called before. Anybody else had never called before? Here we are. We are the people. We aren't paid actors. We live here. We care about what's happening in our government. You aren't even here. But I've heard from other representatives who speak in this passive voice, or who utter incomplete lies. And they say, oh, it's so upsetting, it's so disappointing. They're doing all these awful things. No, you are failing to take action. What do you mean, they? I'm going to call it Doggy because it doesn't deserve a real name. It's your job to protect.
I came out as trans about a year ago. And I have to tell you, thank you. It felt like putting on glasses for the first time. It felt like something that had been inexplicably wrong had become right. It felt like my soul had always been just a little bit outside my body, and now it wasn't. It felt like I could see myself in the mirror for the first time. Right now, there are few groups that are more maligned and slandered than the trans population. And so I want to give some truths. Only 1.6% of the population identifies as trans. There is not one single documented case of a trans person causing issue in a bathroom. There are less than 100 student athletes that are trans, and none of them have broken any records or won any nationals. Yet the homicide rate for trans people has doubled over the past 4 years. So my question for Young, if he could make it, is why pursue all of this rhetoric, this violent rhetoric that is not only killing trans adults, but trans children? And if you think that perhaps it's because God does not make mistakes, as some Christians say, I ask you if God never asks you to transmute. Does God not ask for wheat to turn into bread, for sand to turn into glass, for grapes to turn into wine? Yes. If there is a God, would they ask me not to transmute my body to better fit the shape of my soul?
Thank you so much to everybody who attended tonight, both here live and virtually on the YouTube channel. We will be sending out a recording of this event. We want to thank the Broadway United Methodist Church for hosting us tonight. We also want to thank the media so much for being here and showing up. you for being here, and we want to ask you to continue to show up, whether you're joining Indivisible Central Indiana, Hoosiers for Democracy, 50501, whatever group it is. We need your time and we need your talent, and we need it now. And please keep showing up and joining us in this battle, because it's going to last for a while.